Hi everyone, welcome back to RC Pie. We're just doing a bit of workshop stuff today, or kitchen stuff really. My good wife has allowed me to share the kitchen table with her, so bonus, but I have got a plastic sheet down. Don't ruin your kitchen table, I've already burnt it, and yesterday I spilt plastic weld all over it, so do be careful. What am I doing? Well, I'm doing some work on Frankencrawler because I've got a new idea. I know what I'm going to use it for. That's top secret at this very moment. There'll be more on that very shortly, with all the spraying up the body for it and detailing that a bit. But now I'm just going to look at this chassis. So as you may remember, it's the Injora or Austar chassis, the SCX-10 clone. Now I was thinking about changing all the electronics in this so that I could run it on my FlySky GT5 and just have a speed controller that I'm more familiar with, because I can't remember what this is. It's something I don't really know, but I figure the whole point of Frankencrawler was to kind of go budget. You know, it was a cheap second-hand buy, so let's try it. Let's try it how it was. And if it's not right, then I'll change those. I'll put the Fusion Pro in there and see what's what. I am going to change the servo, because this was, or is, if I recall, it's a high-tech HS422. Now I reckon that's something from the 90s at best. So I don't think that's really going to be up to the job. So I'm going to change that. I'll change that over for an Injora, one of these cheap 35 kilo servos. It'll be slow, but it should be effective. So we'll try that. And I'm also going to change over the shocks to these bigger bore ones. Again, these are quite cheap shocks, but I'm going to change them over. I think they will deal with a slightly heavier body a bit better than these standard skinny ones that are on here. So we'll change those over, see how it sits, make sure it still runs, and then I can probably get down to the body. Now, if any of you have got an idea for what this sort of workshop section could be called, I'd be really intrigued, because I've been trying to come up with a name and I can't get... I was just going to say I can't get something out of my head, and now I've forgotten what it is. What's on the bench? Yeah, I can't get what's on the bench out of my head, but that's clearly Matthews at Scale Builders Guild. So Matthew, you can keep hold of that, and I'll come up with a new name myself. If you're wondering why I'm wearing gloves, it's because I've just been doing some work on the real car. Failed its MOT, so I just needed to do some work on that. So I was just keeping my hands clean, and then thought, I'll leave them on. Why not? Stop me getting grimy from the mini car. Unfortunately, they're falling apart. Never mind. There are a lot of things on this that scream out someone that didn't really know what they were doing. Screws and bolts replaced with just a standard self-tapper from something. Yuck. No precision going on. So So whether I'll have to still use those, because they might have messed up the mounting point on the chassis to the point where now this was bottom mounted, but I'm going to try and top mount this to give a little bit more clearance on that steering link if I can. It might also mean that the holes for mounting will work. So tyres in place, I've tried the body on there and it's quite close along the front of that servo, but I think that's going to be okay, and it's definitely going to get me a bit better clearance for the steering, which may mean I can get more of a steering angle as well. Fingers crossed. So I'm going to go with that. Just check that we have actually got space for a battery in here. Oh. We've got a bit of an issue here. That's not quite got space. If I push that in, it's pushing the servo out. So, whether I can move the battery tray along, I don't know. In theory, but this motor is snagging a bit, so I might have to just trim the end of that battery tray. In fact, that's just a separate piece on there. So, if I remove that completely, that would work. But then the battery might slide back. Decisions. I shall muse over that one. Battery in to test it. Transmitter on. That's the throttle trim way out. Throttle's working. Steering's working, steering trim in the middle, so now I can set my servo horn. That's all I wanted to do really. So I'll flip that over. Now I can get my servo horn straight. Or as straight as that's a good lock. That looks okay. I'll try it with the suspension compressed a bit. something appears to be snagging a bit, so I'll have to investigate that. Now whether that is just because it's a 4-link servo on chassis, don't know. There's a lot of bump steer going on, a lot. So I'm going to have to look at my MN999 to see how I eliminated that, because this is definitely a lot more than it was on there. And I can't remember what I did. So I thought I would compare Frankencrawler and the MN999, which has had some fettling. Now straight away you can see that the links are thinner links on the 999. Now people might look at these fat links and think, oh, they're great, but actually I don't think they are. If we look at the clearance on these links, when the suspension moves, you've got room between these two rods. The part of that is because I replaced these rod ends with straight rod ends instead of angled ones. I'll show you this one. This has got these angled rod ends. Now people put these on, I think, thinking, oh look, it's aiming the right way, but as soon as your suspension moves, they're trying to dig into the other rod, so it's completely the wrong shape. They've got ball ends, they don't need to be bent like that. An angle like that is only for when they're moving this way, rotating about the bolt, not for going up and down. It's just completely the wrong link. Now I've not got any nice thin links like this, or this length at the moment, so I'm going to just try changing these rod ends and see what we get with that. But I think that's going to help. The other thing that I did do on the 999 was I actually switched around the servo horn so it's steering the other way, giving that extra clearance at the front. So I might do that as well. Just means reversing the steering, but that's okay. So I've got the servo sorted. It's not quite how I would want it. You know, I've got this fastened up at the moment because I'm now looking at the fit for the wheel arches for the body shell that I'm doing. But it's quite handy to be able to see it like that, because you can see that because I have changed those ball ends. Let's get that a bit closer. Change those ball ends, and now you can see that they do actually fit. You know, we've not got that horrible problem now with these angled ball ends obstructing the movement, so it's okay. So I have had to put it at the front because of these thick links, which isn't quite how I wanted it, but it's working with this slow, powerful servo. Next step is going to be the body, so stay tuned for what I'm doing with that. I'm going to go through most of the process of doing the body shell for this build. We're going to be looking at bits for an interior as well. Got a few ideas lined up there. Yeah, let's get something cool built. Stay tuned to RC Pi. and we'll see you soon.